Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle is directed by James Kasdan and it's most notably starring Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Karen Gillan. And they're playing the role of video game characters who are being played by high school kids who all found themselves in detention. You have the nerd kid who is very socially awkward, doesn't know how to talk to girls, and he always does homework for other people that he considers his friends. And then there's the jock who wants to stay in on the football team. He wants to keep his grades up, so he peer pressures the nerd kid into doing his homework for him. And then you have the popular girl who's using the selfie stick all the time, always on her phone, and gets in trouble with the teacher because of it, and is somehow so popular in school. It's pretty much the most predictable and cliched high school kids you can imagine in a movie. I will say that one big strong point of this film is the acting, especially from Jack Black. He is easily the best acting performance of this film. He really delivers because he has to play the role of a teenage girl who's trapped inside the body of a middle-aged, overweight man, and he nails it. He is on point with pretty much every joke and all the satire they play on her character, even with her being very predictable and generic. They have it on point. There are many times with the screenplay that they try to overplay the character, but Jack Black still nails it. He delivers such a great acting performance here, and I love it. And then you have the really nerdy, awkward, and nervous teenage kid who is inside the body of Dwayne Johnson. And Dwayne Johnson delivers such a great acting performance here. They use both him as an actor and the character in the film to great comedic effect. And pretty much everything about him is so on point. I also love Kevin Hart in this film. He was a perfect casting choice here, and he really delivered to great comedic effect here. And I also loved Karen Gillan. Overall, the acting across the board here was great. It's one of the major strong points of this film as a whole. And even with the characters and some of the plot points too being very cliched and predictable, like you can see them coming from a mile away, they still managed to be very satirical with many of these predictable and cliched plot points and character tropes, you know what I mean? It was really well done in the sense of comedy. It's one of the biggest strong points of this film by far. Another major positive is easily the visual effects. While it's definitely not Jungle Book 2016 level CGI, it still looks really good overall. Of course, there are some moments where you can clearly distinguish that's not real, it doesn't look real, and that's clearly CGI. But for the most part, the visual effects here look amazing, and it's accompanied with some excellent cinematography and a lot of really video game-like sound design. It's all the technical aspects here flow and work really well together. One of my biggest issues with this film, though, is this is very exposition heavy to a point where it's frustrating. It really slows down the pacing, but it's also to a point where they treat the audience like they're stupid. One scene in particular where they're showing a cutscene sequence, and apparently these screenplay writers feel the need to have this nerdy teenage character, Spencer, explain that it's a cutscene, and going into an explanation of exactly what a cutscene is, when a majority of the audience should not have a problem with it. They understand what they're seeing on screen. It's a flashback exposition sequence. They don't need to know any more than that. And they're literally just treating the audience like they're stupid. This is something I've seen in lots of films, and it's very frustrating. One of my biggest issues with this film is the villain. He is possibly the most underwhelming villain I have seen in an action movie. For one, his motives don't make any sense whatsoever. He just doesn't do anything in this film either. You never feel like there's something at stake. The only thing that really raises the stakes of what could potentially happen to these characters are outside sources, like the jungle animals, the traps that they set within houses, and things like that. But when the villain shows up, you don't feel like there's anything at stake. He's so underwhelming. He's the most underwhelming aspect of the entire story. And that's sad. He would be an underwhelming villain for a video game too. Overall, this isn't a terrible film, not by any means. But it's just not anything really original or significant to this. It's pretty underwhelming, if anything, from a story standpoint. But if you can put that aside and accept the comedy of it, or if you really just want some fun, mindless entertainment, which there's nothing wrong with that, then you're probably going to find yourself enjoying this film. Go ahead and watch it. I'm giving Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, 7 out of 10. But as always, I hope you enjoyed this review. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next video.